Good morning, afternoon. We're going to try to do our best to install this mini split. We won't be able to get it all the way done because I still have to run wiring from the panel. And this is a cheap Chinese brand. So there's no template. A lot of times the bracket here comes with a template that you can put up on the wall and all that, but otherwise it seems like it's in decent shape. This is the brand that it is. It's an Ozone Spirit, and this is a 36,000 BTU unit. So this head unit is quite large. I think it's like 40. It is 42 and a half by just under 13. So we were having trouble finding a wall to put it on. And we kind of determined that this would be our best wall. It's right next to the front door, which isn't ideal, but, and we've got a weird shaped house as well, just the way it's set up, kind of like an H on this level. But we're gonna make this work. So you can kind of see, I've got the bracket mounted. One thing that I thought was weird is that the head unit is not centered. It's not centered on there. So it's gonna stick further that way than it does that way. So when I was installing it, I kind of kept that in mind and I didn't center that on the wall. So it fits up there pretty good. I got the correct clearance from the ceiling that you need. And I kind of scooted it away from the door just a little bit. I don't know if that'll help any or not, but that's what I did. So I'm gonna pull it back off and figure out where I need to drill a hole through the wall now. So I just took the head unit open. It's kind of hard to see, but the wire is already attached in there. So it looks like, here as I can tell, the black one goes to L1, white one goes to L2, the other the green one goes to the ground, and the red one goes to S. So I guess that's the signal cable. And then power. This is a 220, 240, whatever you want to call it model. So it's weird. It's already attached. I wouldn't have thought that it would have already been attached. This is the refrigerant line here, obviously. This was just sitting over this. I took it off. There's a screw that holds it. I took it off just so I could fold this up. You want to be careful when you're folding this up because it'll be laying down. When you bend it up, if that's what you do, that it doesn't kink down here, just take your time and go slow. It's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. I also, over here on this side, put just a little hole in this so I could kind of feel down there and make sure everything looked good. And there's no crimps or kinks or anything like that. This is the power, obviously. That'll come out, and then here's the drain tube. And so all three of these, or I'm sorry, all four of these will be attached and go out the wall. And the idea is to have this drain hose on the bottom so that it drains, and then the hole that you drill through the wall needs to be at a downward angle. So I'm just putting this back on there to hold it in place. And there we go. This should be long enough to make it all the way through the wall. I mean, it's just 2x4 walls. And then I can connect the rest of the refrigerant line, the line set is what it's called, on the outside. So And what I did was I measured from here, so this is the bottom clip, over to about the center of this. It's right at 6 inches. And then it's like 5 inches on this one, so that clip is about 1 inch. So we know that this clip is about 1 inch, and the opening for the clip is like 2 inches, just under 2 inches. So there's about 1 inch of play once it's on there that it can do, not only on these top brackets but also on the bottom. So not that big of a deal. So if we assume that it's going to be all the way to this side, it'd be on that side, wouldn't it? Should be enough downward angle. Right? I need to go up. Yes.
That's actually pretty thick siding.
Yeah. That's thicker than I was thinking.
Huh.
2 layers of it, maybe? I'm gonna need that other battery.
That's good.
All right, you can see we got them out. The drain line is on the bottom, and then here's the refrigerant lines. We got to take these caps off. There should be a puff of air in there. It should be some leftover nitrogen. See? Which is a good sign. That means that it was, there's no holes, so we'll let that nitrogen drain out of there. We like to hear that. I'm not gonna say you have a leak if you don't hear that, but everything that I've ever seen and read, if there's not nitrogen that comes out, it's not a good thing. Okay, so you can see I've got the cap all the way off. The system drained all the nitrogen out. Then you take this cap off. I've already loosened it with a wrench. There won't be any puff coming off of this because it's a loop system, and so once you drain one side, both sides are drained, and that's what it'll look like. We're going to go ahead and get everything connected. So this is the smaller refrigerant line, and there's plugs in the ends. I think it came with 12 foot. Hopefully this is long enough for where we're going to set the outside unit, the condensing unit. So when you're unfolding this stuff, just be careful. It does bend pretty easily, and the goal is to unroll it without kinking it. If you guys ever decided to do this yourself, you'll see how easy this stuff bends. And it actually comes with a really nice cover on it, so I think that's pretty cool. And then it's got a coating on top of the copper. I'm not sure why, but it does. I don't know if that's normal, standard, or what that is. So, but it's definitely got a coating on there. There's an air bubble right there on the coating. So yeah, I'm not terribly upset about the quality of this. The caps are kind of cheap caps, and I did get a flaring tool, but kind of looking at the flares, they don't look terrible. There's no damage on it that I can see, so I don't hate the flares. I think they're pretty good. If I need to cut new flares, I can. There'll be plenty of room on here to cut new flares, but I'm going to go with the factory flare, at least on this side. So this is something that most people suggest using, putting Nylog blue on the flared ends.
Scout! Scout! Come here.
The most painful minute.
I'm going to start with this bottom one, the bigger one, just because it's on the bottom and it sticks out a little bit less. You don't need a ton of this, my understanding, so I'm just going to put a little dab on here.
Bless you.
Less.
Thank you.
And I'm just using the tip to kind of spread it around.
Don't glue yourself.
And then also, I've heard that if you put just a scoocher on the back side of here, it helps it glide better.
What can I do? Do I need to lift it?
Maybe. In the manual there is torque specifications. I don't have a torque wrench. They make a torque wrench that's good for that's a crescent wrench or a spanner torque wrench. I don't have one, and when I was looking at them on Amazon, they were more expensive, more than I wanted to pay. So I'm just gonna tighten it and hope I get it tight enough. The Nylog blue will help, and then I'm gonna snug it up pretty good. I don't remember what the torque specs are. I will tell you what they say on this, but each manufacturer has a different torque spec. They're all gonna be roughly the same though, but follow the manufacturer that you've got. I'm gonna get this the rest of this drain hose connected here. Just make sure we get it done. Maybe. presses on there. Okay. And it should stay pretty good, but just in case, I always like to, I like the idea. Say I always like I've done this 100 times. I like the idea of putting some tape around there. It's never under pressure, but I figure this is all going to be covered. I don't want to have to deal with it in the future. All right. Crikey. So obviously you want to make sure that your drain hose is on the bottom, which it is. That's great. And then we're just going to gently start pulling this down. I'm going to run it down the wall, underneath the window, and then over to the condensing unit. You just want to be careful and not put any kinks in anything or anything like that. And I could totally see how it would be easy to put a kink in these lines, especially this 1/4 inch line. It is, I just could see how that would be something that could easily be done. So there's cap over here on this side. You can see it's just a plastic cap. And then the larger of the two, probably should do the smaller one first. And you don't need a lot from what I understand of this Nylog, but if you get a little bit inside, it doesn't hurt anything. This stuff, I guess, is safe for all forms of refrigerant.
Missing out.
There's no real good place to grab this to back yourself, and so what you do is you just kind of get your wrench on there. And just for reference, I did take a look at these flares on this end of the pipe as well, and they looked pretty good. So I feel pretty relatively comfortable. Same thing with this bottom one. The smaller one, huh?
I thought I heard thunder. Might have been the truck though.
All right, so I got this vacuum pump. Here we go, words. So we'll get that opened up here really quick and vacuum down these lines. we got a disconnect there. I'm running the wire. It's gonna come across the top there, and then come down the wall. And so let's get this opened up. See what we got in here. So this here has got some different parts, some attachments and whatnot. Cool. Now we have our gauge set up here. Cool. And then the knobs, just press on. So it's just like a quick connect, press on. Perfect. And then the hoses. So there's a yellow hose, a red hose, and a blue hose. And then obviously the ends to connect to the manifold and then the machine. So this is the pump that I got. Extreme power off of Amazon. So obviously there's no oil in it right now. It's got a pretty cool gauge there for the oil. And then here's the oil. Just vacuum pump oil. So it's a 3.5 CFM refrigerant pump manifold gauge set. All right, so you can kind of see how this here is set up. We're not going to use this red hose. We don't need it. So just to keep it protected, I'm just going to put that right there. Just keeps it safe, protected, out of the way. And we got to put oil in this. This is not only the oil fill, but you can kind of see there's a little space right there for when it's in use to suck out the contaminants. I don't know if it takes the whole thing or not. So basically took the whole thing, and it's clear. The oil is clear. I am not sure what kind of oil it is. If it's like a mineral oil or something else. We're down here. These are the service ports for the mini split. I took this cap off. I'll take these two caps off as well. You could hook this right up to there and it would work. But I've got this this here. This is called an Apion valve core removal tool, and so that just unscrews. And you've got this piece here, and there's a valve core in there. And it just grabs the valve core and holds it. So now that this is connected, then we've got the valve core removed, we can hook up our low pressure blue hose directly to that. You want to make sure that everything's got a good tight connection. Now I've got another valve core removal tool that I'll hook up to this side right here. I've got a digital micron gauge that I'll hook up right here. So on this low pressure side, when I turn the vacuum pump on, I'll open this up because right now it's closed. Okay, I'll open it up. I've got it connected there. It'll come through, it'll come from the blue hose through the system, through the manifold, and then exhaust it through the vacuum pump. So what you're looking for is to get this down to that -30 and this down on the micron gauge. Also, there is a valve core in here that I took off. So there's valve core here I took out, valve core here I took out. And the reason why I take those out is just to make sure that there's no restrictions for when we're trying to vacuum this down. So we're ready to kind of start the vacuum. The micron gauge, turn it on. Make sure it's on microns. So it is, it says MIC. We're gonna get down as low as we can go, and then we'll do our shut-in test or decay test. Actually, because I'm gonna do a dual test with this manifold gauge and the micron gauge. So we'll turn the vacuum pump on and we'll watch them both. I'm gonna open this since I've got that closed down there. We'll go ahead and turn this on. And then we'll open that up. And open that up. You can see that is starting to go below 30, or I mean below 0. So I decided to try something different here. I was struggling with this micron gauge. Couldn't get it to go down low. When I shut it off, it was down at like 1500, and then it shut itself off and I turned it back on. Now it's down to 550. You can see I've been running a timer for 30 minutes. What I did was I hooked my gauge setup up there, vacuumed it down, and it's been sitting for 31 minutes. So I think this is what I'm gonna have to do it, because I could not get that micron gauge to work right. And maybe I do have a leak. I'm gonna let it go for a little bit longer, and we'll see. We'll see what it does. All right. You can see that timer has been going for 1 hour, 22 minutes, and I don't think that thing has moved any. This thing kind of just stayed right there. So I think I'm gonna call it good. So I'm gonna shut that valve. Shut that valve. Now, when I take this off, we should be good. We will have kept our vacuum in here. Now we're going to break our vacuum with refrigerant. I'm going to just do a little bit there. And then you can see there's the valve stem. So now there should be positive pressure on this, right? Because I've got these open a little bit. Now they're open. Now it should be 100%. Just bring that out till it stops right there. Same with this one. Right there. We've got this locked back on. This is isolated, so no refrigerant can get up into the gauge. We're going to open that. Now there'll be a little bit of pressure, a little bit of air. So we just let that little bit of air out. And now push that through. You got to kind of hold it as you screw. So now I've got the valve core, right, put back in. And now I'm just doing a leak check on that valve core. I let all the refrigerant out that was trapped in here, right, from where the shutoff is going this way. And then I shut it again, and I'll leave it and let it sit for a few minutes and see if it builds pressure back up. If it does, we know it's not a good seal. And I'll put the valve core removal tool back on there and try to see if I can't figure out why. So we'll let that sit for a few minutes. All right, let's see if we did a good job. Had a little bit come out of there. I don't know if you could hear it on the camera. So I'm going to screw that back on there. All I did was try to get on there and snug that back up. And we'll let it sit for another few minutes and see what it does. In the meantime, I'm gonna spray just a little bit of leak soap on here. Now this, I said leak soap, it's not actual soap. You want to use something that's non-corrosive. As far as I know, this is non-corrosive. It's like a glycol base. That all looks pretty good. Put that cap back on. Put that cap back on. Snug them down. We'll check these up here too. You guys will have to tell me if you saw anything on the backside over there. I think it all looks good. We'll do the same thing. We'll swipe off all of our excess. All right, let's check this again. There is nothing. We did a good job. Whoops. Take that one off. Take this one off. And take this one off. And then put that cap on there. So now the wiring. So something that I may have gotten wrong. On the head unit inside, these ones were hooked up to L1 and L2. And so that's how I hooked them up. But after research and actually paying attention, there's a 2 here and a 2 there, clearly. There's not a 1 on this black wire, but I mean, you would just assume, right? So you've got your 120 line voltage coming in here, 120 line voltage coming in here, and then you've got 120, 120 going out and then up to the head unit, and then it'll go into the head unit as line voltage and line voltage. So it makes sense, sort of. I think I confused myself and I was overthinking it. The other thing that I think I'm going to do is I'm going to move this ground onto this ground. That way when I bring in my 2 hots and a ground, I can put my ground here and I don't have to worry about it. I could, if I had another ground screw, put it somewhere else, but I don't. I've only got those 2 ground screws. So moving this ground over and sharing isn't going to hurt anything. So I think I'm going to go ahead and move this over, and then I'm going to work on getting the wiring over here. I'm going to put a disconnect box up on the wall, and then we'll go from there. We're back. I've got all the wiring done underneath of there. Brought in the put on the cover plate. That's going to be the signal cable along with voltage going to the head unit. This is my makeshift whip line coming up into my disconnect. And you can see I just put these little grommets there and there to protect the wire. Got it all wired in. And then again, I don't have any conduit, so it's makeshift going over to the panel on the outside. So we're just about ready. I'm going to put the cover back on. This cover here to hide that stuff, and then I'm going to go flip the breaker and get it going. The yips. All right, you ready?
Yep.
All right, so here goes nothing. Breaker's been turned on. Everything should have power. All right. It's working, guys. It is cooling off. I don't have a heat gun, so I don't know what this temperature coming out of here is, but it definitely is cooling off. 16 degrees is 60.8 in Fahrenheit. I'm gonna figure out how to change that. There is a way, so I'll figure out how to change it to get it on standard rather than metric. And this is the outdoor unit. Pretty quiet. It is running. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I still have some line set cover. There we go. To put on right here. So I'm gonna wrap that and then cover it. Make sure that the condensate drain is where it needs to be. And then at some point I'm gonna get a cover and cover this. And like I said, you can see right there behind me, the wire. I'm gonna get some conduit and run that wire, and a whip line and run a whip line from the condensing unit up to the disconnect. I just didn't have it yet, and summer is getting to be upon us, so I wanted to get this thing installed. We'll see how it works long term. Like I said, this is a Chinese brand that was made in China and then sold or marketed and sold in Mexico. There's a guy that's got several stores who sells these Chinese brand ones. They're pretty cheap. There's no warranty. And when I say cheap, I mean inexpensive. I don't mean cheap. I think probably they're just as good as any other brand, but that remains to be seen. I feel pretty good about it. This is the first one of these that I've done, and I'm happy with it. So hopefully the next ones will go good. Like I said, I've got 4 more that I'm going to install, not this big, but 4 more that I'm going to install in the bedrooms. And so hopefully everything goes well with those, and we're able to make it happen. If you have any questions for me on this, I'll do my best to answer them. I'm not an HVAC person, and I'm not an electrician. But I'm a pretty decent DIYer, so for whatever that's worth. All right, well, I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Like the video, comment. If you have questions, like I said, tell me how good I did, how bad I did. Share the video with the friends, and if you like this kind of thing, subscribe. I would appreciate it. I think we're up to 367 the last time I checked. So pretty awesome. I'm pretty stoked about 367 subscribers, and I appreciate each and every one of you. All right, be blessed, be a blessing. I'll see you on the next one. One of you smells delightful. You smell really good.
I ain't gonna lie, it's totally her.
Oh, I didn't want to say anything because you're going on.
Oh, okay.
The ends.
Yeah, the
Connection. Boy and girl.
stop. The flared ends. Also, I do have a flaring. Shut up!